I finally had an introduction to John that didn't go well. And I said, I have to take things on my own. So what happened is I wrote John a letter. And I said, you can get to where you are in life, not listening to people. And, and people said that you can't get in to speak to John DeLorean. I don't believe that. So he wrote me a letter back. And a letter went something like this. It said, I'm interested in what you have to offer. I'd like to talk to you, etc. I wrote him a 2-paragraph letter. He wrote me back a 1-sentence letter. I wrote him back a 3-word letter. He wrote me back a 1-word letter. And the 1-word letter said when, and he signed his name across the page. So, with that, I met John DeLorean. That's the story of how I met John. I went up to his offices on Park Avenue. So that's how the relationship started with John, and it stayed that way for over 20 years now, where I'm pretty close and friendly with him. 3 months after I met him, we ended up with a contract to develop the twin turbo, which one of you have here tonight. It was an interesting path that we went through. I got to know a lot about the inner workings of the DeLorean Motor Company by virtue of meeting with John 2-3 times a week during that time. We went to Belfast together. Belfast was a very interesting place. As you know, it's a war zone. It was a war zone. And some of the interesting things as I reflect back, if you think we're going through scrutiny after 9/11, 9/11, and when those travelers came down, you should have gone back and forth. The best things about the plant was getting to meet the people. And if I have to say that if there's one thing that bothered me about the demise of the DeLorean Motor Company, was seeing all those people lose their jobs. There was roughly 2,000 of them, 50% of which were Protestant, the other 50 Catholics. And they were hell-bent on giving us good quality. Every time I'd walk through the plant, they'd stop me. Did the Americans like the quality of the product we're building? You have to understand, these people did anything to get a job. They would do anything. I mean, when the Japanese came over, it took the shipbuilding business away from them. These were welders, people, tradesmen. When that went away, they didn't have any work. And when you can't feed a family, you get pretty angry. And you'll find all reasons why you should be angry. And that's a lot of the reasons. People think it's all a religion. It's not a religious situation. These poor people just needed a job. About ready a month before the company's demise to start introducing that product in the car and start building it. We had gotten an order initially for 2,000 turbocharged engines, and the biggest problem we really had was really Bosch and Renault. They were very difficult in terms of having to work with them to make the changes online that we needed, which created more problems. It became a much more expensive product. Some of the things that we would have needed to do, like put different pistons in it, different gaskets in it, different camshafts in it. Those items weren't easy to accomplish at Renault. Eventually, we were going to make changes that would have been changes that would have been in a naturally aspirated engine that would have allowed us to not have a differential between the two, then dress the engines with turbochargers at the plant and then install them in cars. As you know, the car made emissions, finally made emissions. It created a lot of power over the existing engine. Today, in fact, somebody asked me how much horsepower the car had. It depended what state of development we had. We had cars making anywhere from 150 horsepower turbocharged all the way up over 300. The Achilles heel in that car was the transmission. In other words, we could dial in more horsepower, but there was a question of whether or not the transmission and whether they would warranty the transmission. So initially, we were told we'd have to dial back the horsepower to make sure that the durability of the transmission was okay, and in the process of it, look for a new transmission to install in the car. So that, in terms of power, and the question was asked before, the real problem really was transmission versus torque requirement. So the car, at the time when we tested it with John, was the fastest legal production car in the world, shipped to the United States. To the track for a day, and we had John come out, Renault came out, some of the people came out from Belfast, people came in from Italy. We had a wonderful day. We had just about everybody's turbo product that was in production at the time, plus the DeLorean. And the DeLorean was really the fastest car of the day at that particular time. There were some interesting people there. Who knows Zura Arcus Dunthorpe? Does anybody know who Dunthorpe is? We're old enough to know.
Corvette.
He's the father of the Corvette, that's correct. So John DeLorean had called me up, and Zura had retired from General Motors. We was still on the board. And he had a home in Grosse Pointe, and he had a home in Long Island, in the Hamptons, actually in Southampton. I met with him, we brought him in. Again, he was another figure in history and time. He actually attended some of those with us and did a little bit of consulting work for us at Legend. Didn't have the kind of quality that we should have had, but I have to tell you, for the first year or two in production, it didn't have a lot of problems that some of the other cars had that we had. Look, I was a Fiat dealer, and I got to tell you that you want to see a lot of problems. The Fiat had, and I did engineering work for Fiat. I mean, Fiat sold the least amount of cars and had the highest consumer problems ever registered in the state of New York. That gives you an idea. DeLorean didn't have those problems, those kind of problems. Yes, they had problems which you are working on right now, but for a new product, it really wasn't too bad. And for the kind of product that it wasn't bad at all. There were all kinds of plans. We got the contract to develop the four-door version of that car, or two-door version of that car. It was going to be a 2+2 car. We put together this 2+2, kind of like a Maserati Quadruporta, that kind of a car. It would have been an interesting car. It would have had the turbo engine in it, obviously, because it would have added weight to the car considerably. But that was the next generation of what was going to happen to that car. First was a limited production car, the turbo. Then we were going to come out with an SC version of that turbo, which was a real high horsepower version once we got the new transmission. And then four-passenger vehicle, 2+2. Now, whether it had four doors or two big gull-ring doors, I couldn't tell you at the time. I do know Giugiaro was starting to work on it at that time, so we had a lot of expectations for what that company could evolve to. There still is a business in this country for a boutique-type car company. Most of the major car companies, as you know, have been gobbling up these boutique companies, whether it be Maserati, Lamborghini, they're all buying them up.
I don't know if this is a proper question, but I'm going to try to ask it, and I mean it with no disrespect, but when you had your company developing this turbo charger for this car, basically when the business went out of business, it also put you out of business.
Right.
And what surprises me that you speak so affectionately of John that there was obviously no bad blood in the whole trans.
That's probably the question that gets asked to me most, especially by my friends. First of all, if you think John went out of business for the point of not paying me...
No, I don't think that for a second.
No, I'm saying, I'm not talking to you in general. That's the first thing. I have to tell you, when this happened, the night it happened, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. I got contacted by every media. FBI had tapped my phones. I'm telling you, it was just unbelievable. I was asked to write a book, to speak about John, because I flew with him constantly. I was with him all the time. So the people that got up and spoke, there's not one thing good that happened from trying to grandstand, personally myself. John, look, I'm not here to pass judgment. I'm that guy. You know, so the reality is, John never did anything personally to hurt us. And even during the times where the company wasn't doing well financially, I'll tell you an interesting story. John, the company owed us a lot of money. I mean, a ton of money. And John wrote a personal check out of his own bank account one time to help us out when he had the ability to do it. He didn't have to do that. It was DeLorean Motor Company. John didn't owe us the money. DeLorean Motor Company owed us the money. So you don't forget those things. And it's very easy to get on somebody when they're down. You know, it's popular, it's great. And, you know, certainly I have good cause to get on that. But I didn't feel a need to. With today's technology, we were getting, the next version would have been ceramic rotors because they spool up so fast. Mark will tell you, I don't know if you've been in Mark's car, but if the original turbos are in that car, it's about a 12 to 1400 RPM positive boost on that car, which is pretty low. They work real good with an automatic if you can get it to work, by the way.
I don't like the automatic, so.
I don't blame you, I don't either, but the reality is that they work real good because it's under constant improvement all the time. That's why automatics work so well with turbochargers. Will it happen? I can't tell you with ultimate certainty. If you believe in this country and you believe in entrepreneurial, exercises like this, and the answer to that is yes. There is a car. There isn't a car built, but there are pieces of it. There are engines. We have, there's an engine available today with some pretty advanced technology. There are some design discussions that we've had, and it's his desire to do it again. I hope he makes it. I hope he does do it again because he deserves to get it done. He's tenacious as hell, and for a guy that's at his age bracket right now, still trying to do it again, he has more energy than a lot of 20-year-olds that I know. So I hope he really cuts it.